Hello again. Welcome back to Croplife Retail Week. Joined again by Eric Sfiligoj. Welcome back again, sir.
Thank you. It's nice to be back in the studio and in the office for a little while.
Excellent. So, usually it's presidential elections. We don't see you the next day, isn't it? Because you like to stay up till the bitter end. And
those I do, but this one I didn't stay up for because basically most of the folks before the polls closed were predicting that the House would go to the Democrats, the Senate would stay Republican, and there would be lots of little surprises across the country. And pretty much, Paul, that seems to be what exactly happened.
Yeah, the pollsters were right this time, as opposed to last time.
Yes. So, of course, we'll have to see what that means for our friends in D.C. I know that, when last week I wasn't here, I was at the Syngenta media event in Minneapolis, and several of the folks there, when they were talking about politics and regulatory affairs, mentioned that in their view, a split Congress probably would not be good news for a new farm bill coming down the line. That it may be well into 2019 before a new one is actually crafted and passed, and in the meantime we'll just keep seeing extensions of the current farm bill.
Yeah, and it's a shame because there's really practical things that need to get done fairly soon, and they're going to get caught in the crosshairs, and we really just need to get some things done. And the Farm Bill certainly is one of those things.
Yeah, I know all this morning, this is the day after Election Day when we're recording this, and I've been getting the emails from the various trade groups, the American Soybean Association for one, kind of reaching out to the folks and saying, hey, look, talk across the aisle, we do need a new Farm Bill for our farmers out in America to help them through the next couple of months and years. So.
Yep, you bet. So the whole Dicamba thing unfolded while you were in Syngenta. I know that we talked a little bit about the label last week. If there's anything you have to add or anything from your experience that was interesting.
Yeah, the fact that this did break when I was at the Syngenta event, most people were interested to see that it was extended out to 2020, the new label. And that basically the applicators will have to be certified to apply Dicamba. They can no longer sort of supervise a subordinate to do it for them. We suspect that grower groups might be not in favor of that necessarily, but the big news out of Syngenta, of course, was that they have a new Dicamba formulation that they're hoping to get approval for the 2019 season. So, Paul, again, there's still lots of interest in this technology moving forward into the coming growing season.
Yeah, I think there's probably concerns too. I know, as I said last week, Gene Payne was at Illinois was concerned because the complaints were actually up there. But if there are places that it went better, that we kind of let off our guard a little bit, because I think if we see more Liberty Link coming in, if we see more fields slammed up against other fields despite the buffers. We had to make sure that we're continuing to be vigilant, because we could easily relax a little bit and get back into a bad way like we were in 17 if we're not really careful.
Yeah, well, again, 2019 will mark the third year for the Dicamba system in the marketplace. So you're right, Paul. We'll have to see. Year one was not so good. Year two was much better. I know Croplife 100, we asked that question, and 65% of the respondents said that yes, Dicamba application which much better this past year than it did the prior year. So we'll have to see how 19 does play out.
Cool. Anything else going on in your world?
No, like I say, just if you've got the e-newsletter for Croplife this week, I had a little preview of the Croplife 100 in there. That'll be coming up in our December issue. I know, Paul, the numbers were not looking really great, but I was missing about 20 forms when I put out the preliminary report. I'm happy to report that the last few forms that came in were all very positive, so looks like the marketplace will be up. But for the full report, please read our December issue and check out our website come December 1st.
So maybe you putting out the word, maybe people said more optimistic things because you were all down.
Maybe they did, but numbers are numbers. I'm talking sales numbers. The sales numbers were a lot stronger for the last few forms that came in, to the point that I thought, just as a little preview, fertilizer I thought was going to be down or flat for the year, as it has been the last 3 to 5 years, but actually looks like it'll be up a little bit. So good news for that.
Yeah, I guess we're also careful. We had a webinar on
That's
tariffs
right.
and the crop protection side last week, and we had about 150 people listening live and over 450 registrants who then will come back and see it, since you commit best laid plans and then you end up not being able to see it at the time it's happening. But
Sure.
We had Jim DeLisi, and he did a 20-minute presentation and answered 45 questions in a rapid-fire fashion.
Wow.
So if you can still I think go back and to croplife.com and find that webinar and register for it and see it. It was really fascinating. Just a lot of implications for crop protection as just people who are have no way other than to charge back for it, because it's just going to be too much in terms of added costs for them to just absorb. So
Yeah, I know our sister publication, Agribusiness Global, put out their e-newsletter this morning, and I noticed that there were 2 or 3 more suppliers in there, including Adama, I believe, that said that because of sourcing issues and the Chinese situation, they probably have to raise prices going into 19.
okay, yeah, well. Look for more of that, and I had to pull this out of mothballs because it was just such a curiosity. This mug is I've had this in my shelf for a long time because I don't know what to make of it. I mean, I love CHS. We love CHS. They're our good friends. But we got metal on the bottom, and we have ceramic on the top, and kind of an O-ring thing in the middle. And it's like I keep thinking this is
it's a melting pot. Oh, it's a representation of America, the melting pot, right? Did I lose you on that one?
Who's the blue band in the middle? That's what I'm.
Well, I know I have friends who live in California and those that live in New York, and they basically view the United States as the East Coast, the West Coast, and the thin sliver in between. So that must be the Midwest.
So this is Iowa. Is that what you're saying?
Iowa, Nebraska, Kansas, all our friends there, represented by the blue band. Oh, sorry, wrong color.
We don't share views, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, I just had to share. I just kept thinking this was probably in some kind of a meeting or something like that. Some like half the room
Committee.
wanted metal,
Yeah.
half the room wanted ceramic, and I'm like, let's get this one. Anyway,
Wasting a whole minute on a mug. Thank you, audience,
Yeah,
for staying with us.
thanks for joining us this week's Retail Weekend. We will see you next week.